So it is another day, and let's take a look at what we're doing today. Honestly, it's been kind of a busy week, so I am not 100% sure what the plan is for the day. Here's what we do have. We finally got some sheet metal. I bought about maybe a half to a third of what we need, but it's a good start. Okay. We are also going to look at protecting these ribs. We have finished welding in all these plates, so the stuff to bolt sheet metal to, though we have to drill a lot of holes. But we also have to, we're going to take care of some of this rust, and then we're going to prime them real quick. I don't think we'll paint them with anything. We're just going to do a quick prime to keep them from rusting any further. So we've got some action with the wire wheel to clean all this rust up and maybe take off some of the slag. We have some painting to do, and we also need to look at this space right here. So I realized that we have never actually done the attachment from this post right here up to that arch. We haven't actually even installed the arch yet. So that's something else we're going to look at today, because I think we will need to put that arch in place before we can start skinning the bus. We actually probably have to do the back one first. So I think we'll start skinning the bus from the back to the front. That way all the seams overlap from the front to the back, if that makes any sense. Okay, I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I wanted to cover something real quick. I don't want to stop Sue working in the background there. Here's what I've noticed. When we cut the roof, we did it out a little bit, because that's kind of where the things fit nicely. And this is actually the inner sheet metal from the cap. That leaves this extra piece of sheet metal right here that we don't really need. I don't know if it's worth removing it or not, but I'm going to at least try here to see if it's worth removing it, just so that we can have a smoother attachment here. You know, maybe not, because that's just going to give me more screws. I might just leave the two pieces, which is a little ridiculous. I think that's what I'm going to do. Nuts. Whoa, hold on. That's a totally different podcast where the guy keeps getting hit in the head. Of course, they'd probably have this build done by now. You know, all I wanted to do was connect this rib to the rib that I'm going to install up there. That's all I wanted to do. But it turns out that if I was going to do that, I was going to need to weld it on here. And I was going to have to put a piece of metal, so you have to weld it on here. You have to put a piece of metal up here to bolt some sheet metal to. And that's the thread that started pulling the sweater apart. So there was a gutter right over here. I pulled that off, and that took us all the way up and over, and I'll have to do the other side a little bit later piece of metal here, because that's just left over from this part of the roof up here where it got cut off. It's not part of the back cap. And then I started to look over here and I realized that I also needed to get to this rib to weld to it, which meant that I had to take this cap off to get to this piece of metal, to get to this piece of metal. And actually this piece of metal is going to require that I take up this, which I started to pull it up, see if I could just kind of peel it back a little bit, and it's rotted. Which means that all of this noise proofing that I am sitting on is going to have to come out. It was going to be a little thing. It was going to be real quick, and then it would start scaring the bus. I bet I don't touch that sheet metal today. Oh well.
We're looking at you, Mom. Yeah. Some people do this.
Get this seat up because it's all wet and gross. Then we'll have to take off all this foam that's under it. Maybe I got my bigger one. What do you think?
Do you want to say anything to the people watching before?
Right, before this bus build, I had no upper body strength. When this bus build is done, I think I'm going to have some muscles up on top here. How's that?
Nice.
Nice.
Nice girl.
Thank you.
All right, so I am at one of those places where I am a bit stymied as to what the heck I'm supposed to do next. So I spent a little bit of time today noodling. Partly getting little things done and partly trying to use my noodle to figure out what the next big things to do are. So I didn't film much of it because I didn't have a plan of action, so to speak. So let's review what the heck I did, huh? Probably the most noticeable thing is that I did finally get around to pulling the inner back cap off. Got some wiring out of the way, got a chance to see some of the structure. That was just on the to-do list. I haven't yanked this piece of sheet metal off yet because I don't want to break this. I don't want to break that caulking seal. This tray here is absorbing a lot of water from the roof cut. And I don't really want that going down into whatever's under there. It might be the engine. I know on that side, that is in fact the engine. Or that's the air intake, I'm sorry. What else have I done? The next biggest thing that I did is I actually did tack. Come around you. I put the rib in. I put this rib actually in and it's attached to the bus now, very loosely. I'm only doing little tacks for now because I don't know what I want to do. And what I did is I put this rib in here and I put in these little struts. I put in 4 of them. They're all very close to the same length, 22.5 inches, just to keep my fake rib about the same distance from a, come on, where's my hand, from my real rib. And I did that over the top. And that should help to hold the fake rib in position. The other thing that I started to do, and I am really just noodling with this, is I have started to put this strut in. So I have this strut that goes up to the bottom of the rib. I think what I'm going to do is weld along the bottom here, weld this thing into the tray, and then put a plate up over the whole thing to tie this all together nicely. Down here, I'm just put 3 plates in to hold it. I might replace this back plate with a piece of 1-inch tube. You know, same stuff as this. We'll see. Like I said, I'm really just noodling on this right now. I like the 2-inch by 1/8 inch. Again, it's all just tacked. I like the 2-inch by 1/8 inch to kind of take the vertical load. And this should keep there from being a twisting load. But it's not fully a box. It doesn't really have anything to keep it from racking in this direction yet. Although there will be, the rest of the bus around it. So anyways, that's what I got. That is what I have put in place today. And that's probably going to wrap it up for this week. Hope to get up here again next week. Next week, I think I will have made up my mind if I'm going to put that back piece up the way I did. I'm going to keep it that way, I mean. And I'll do the other side if that's my choice. That should go a lot faster because at least then there'll be a plan. The other fun fact that I found out, I'll just throw it out there, and I guess I'm not super surprised by this. No, actually, I was surprised by this. In retrospect, I came up with a justification, which I'll share, but I started doing some measuring, and I was very concerned for a little bit because the distance from here, well, actually, what I was really concerned by is that this is right out to the end here. That's how I got to 22.5 inches. This plus 22.5 inches gets right to the end of this roof edge. When I went to the other side, I'm in by like an inch there. And I was very concerned because I didn't think I'd made the cut that poorly. I had cut along the edge of this cap, and it did. It's right along the edge of the cap. So how can there be a 1-inch discrepancy? So, I did a lot of measuring. I measured from this rib to this rib over here, same on the other side. Took every measurement I could think of. It turns out the cap's not square. I think the back part of the cap is obviously square, but this edge, where it got drawn over whatever forming blank they use, this edge isn't square. And, it's hidden, so they didn't care. So they didn't do anything with it. You can't see it. Doesn't matter to them. But this back cap is not a good cutting guide, it turns out. It won't really matter for me, I don't think. I'd planned on making my own back cap, probably in 3 parts, because I don't want to spend as much money on steel as I'd have to do it in one. So I'm going to do 3 parts in the back here, and that'll let me overlap the top and overlap the bottom enough that I don't think that 1 inch is going to make a big deal. I'd always planned on there being a pretty decent overlap there. But it was a bit of a surprise today to finally figure that out. Like I said, that wraps it up for the week. I'm going to probably put the batteries back in the bus because I've been welding. I took them out. I'm going to put the batteries back in the bus and start her up just to make sure that I haven't screwed anything up. As when you start messing with some of the wires in the back cap, you can find yourself not able to start the bus anymore. In fact, that's another fun fact. I had taken this thing out. Come on, down here. I had taken this thing out, and I had to put it back in. The ground on that lock is critical for starting the bus, so I had to go in and reconnect that today to be able to start the bus earlier. Which is the first thing I did, is make sure I could figure out how to keep this thing running. I'm probably going to start it again and run it for a few more minutes, just to make sure that it doesn't that didn't screw anything up. Close up the tarps. Go home for what's going to be a crazy work week. Don't know if I'm going to be up here next weekend. There might be a delay for the next video. We'll see. Or maybe I'll do something planning related at home. I don't know. Drop a comment down below if you got any questions, comments. Think this is a terrible idea? Just want to say hi? I don't know. I'll see you next time I have a chance to get one of these videos made.